Hi, welcome to the LIONESS Summit. This is Darla Morrison, and we want to welcome you to a Happy New Year 2021. It has been very tumultuous so far. I think I can go ahead and say that word. It's felt like an extension of 2020, and I feel like what we're talking about tonight is spot on what we need, of having a new perspective for 2021 and how that can look and how we can start doing that both professionally and personally. As I take you on another courage tour tonight, these three experts are absolutely fabulous women. I love being in their presence. I love what they're doing in their world. They are just changing the world in their own sectors, and I love that. I feel like that's what we're all supposed to be doing, is living a full life and being authentic where you're at. On the bad, messy days, on the days you want to sit there and just cry and eat a whole tub of ice cream through a bad Hallmark movie, or that you are just killing it and rocking it at work. We all have good and bad both. So I just want to thank you all for being here. If you have any questions for us, please put them in the chat so we can see them and answer the questions that you have. Anything from, like, do you have a special planner? Do you have any suggestions or questions that you thought might work? And so far it hasn't taken root yet this month. I want to precurse all of this by saying, when we have these speakers on here, we have an opportunity to leverage their intelligence and their expertise. And tonight is no exception. I want to thank all of them right now for being here. And let's go ahead and get started with everything we got going on. When we are talking about having a new perspective, I think of having a great plan. And I want to introduce Mrs. Stephanie Richardson. She is a John Maxwell Certified Coach. She is a former therapist, and she is also a top leader in her company. And I have met her and have worked with her. She's a phenomenal person. She's an amazing female entrepreneur leader. And Stephanie, I would like for you just to share with everyone a little bit about why you feel like this is something that we need to be talking about tonight.
Well, I think that 2021 is a brand new year, and I think we can't expect for 2021 to be exactly or more of the same of 2020, because we've learned and grown and gained a lot of perspective over the last year, right? And so what I really love to do is to move individuals and organizations from where they are to where they want to be. And I'm very passionate about that. I coach, as Darla mentioned, a lot of entrepreneurs, people such as financial planners, mortgage loan officers, real estate agents, residential and commercial, interior designers, and software engineers, and people in sales in general. And so I have found that no matter what industry we are in, if we are an entrepreneur, that one of the things holds true, that we have challenges a lot of times with holding ourselves accountable because we are the boss and we let ourselves off the hook too much. And that will keep us from reaching our goals. So it's really important to have a coach by your side, because you may be good, you may be even the best in your industry, but you can be even better when you have a new perspective. You have an outsider looking in to help guide you along the way to help you reach your goals. And if it's okay, Darla, I'd like to share just a little bit more about my background. Is that all right with you if I do that? I want to, as she mentioned, I was in the counseling field for over 10 years, and I supervised and trained other therapists in 4 cities in the Middle Tennessee area. And I love doing that, because working with others in the counseling field, you really help people gain insight and awareness into themselves. And it's very rewarding. And I did that for many years, as I mentioned. And then I decided that I wanted to be a mom. And when I decided I wanted to be a mom, I stopped working in corporate America so that I could be home with my daughter. My daughter is now 18. She is in college, 7.5 hours away from me. And I am a single mom. And it has been quite a journey raising her and having her have a front hand look at American entrepreneurship and what that's like as a child growing up in it. And it has just been an amazing journey. And I have been in direct sales for 24 years. And when I started to pay off some credit card debt, which a lot of people can relate to. And God has just blessed me beyond my wildest imagination. And I now have a multi-million-dollar a year business that I run from my home and have developed over 80 leaders on our team and just really love working with people to help grow them and lead them. And so what happened as far as how I got into coaching and my coaching business, this is a funny story. So I was actually at a networking event and I was there for my sales business. And this woman came up to me and she was a coach and she said, Stephanie, why do you not have your own coaching business? She said, you've been a therapist all these years and that makes you a little different than other coaches. And she said, you've been in sales and you've developed others so many years. So why do you not have your own coaching business? And I thought, I don't know. And so that was kind of the first God intervention. It was not something I had ever thought of. And then a friend of mine came over one day and she was coming over to visit. So I thought, and I had been her boss in corporate America when I worked in corporate America. And she came over and she said, hey, I am so excited. I'm going to be starting my own private practice. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome. I am so excited for you. And she said, yeah, there's just one problem. And I said, what? And she said, well, I hired this business coach and I don't like her. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. And she said, she just doesn't know me the way you know me. And she doesn't push me the way you will push me. And you know business. And so I wanted to ask you if you would coach me as I open my private practice. And I said, sure. So that's kind of how my coaching business got started, from those two God interventions where I was not even thinking about it. It was not on my radar at all. And so I have just built that from going to networking meetings and meeting amazing women like the ones that are on here. And I love that so much. And it's just been such a blessing to work with them. Now, how I got connected to the John Maxwell team, I had read a lot of John Maxwell's books in leadership in my corporate position. And I loved his books, and his material really resonated with me because I'm a believer. And I thought, if I'm going to be licensed to teach any material, I just felt like his material made me feel like I was at home. And so that's why I decided to become certified with the John Maxwell team. So I know Darla had asked me to share a little bit about the program that I'm going to offer to each of you. And this is a program that I call Creating Vision for Your Life. And it is a program that I have done successfully with women in commercial real estate at a conference, residential realtors in 2 different groups, and mortgage loan officers. And it's been so well received that I want to bring it to you. And I'll tell you why I'm so passionate about this, is because I have seen the impact in my personal life of helping me achieve personal and professional goals. And I want to offer that to all of you. I want to give you that increased insight into how to create vision in your life so that you can reach the goals that you want to reach in this new year and create that new perspective. As I've done this training, people that have been in their industry for 25 or 30 years have said to me afterwards, wow, I learned something I have never heard before. And so that's what I want to bring to you, is that fresh perspective. And what I'm going to be teaching you has to do with vision boards and how to create a vision board and to use it effectively. Most people know about vision boards and they know how to create them, but the gap is they don't know how to use them effectively. And so I'm going to teach you how to use those effectively so that you will crush your goals. And we're going to connect those to affirmations, and I'm going to teach you the correct way to write those and use those to add more value to what you're doing. So I'm really excited about that and sharing that with you, because one of my clients this past year, we worked on her vision board at the beginning of 2020, and she's a commercial real estate agent, and she saw the power of that at the end of the year when she had accomplished all of her goals and she had paid off every penny of her personal debt. And so that's what I want for you. I want you to be proud on December 31st and go, wow, look at what I accomplished. It's December 31st, 2021, and look what I've done. So I'm going to be offering this program, and Darla's going to send out information about it on February 16th in that evening from 7 to 8 Central. And normally this program is $125, but just because you are part of the Lioness Summit, I'm going to give you a discounted rate. And so it's going to be $99. And I just want to challenge you to invest in yourself, because you have to be the number one investor in your own dream. So I hope that you'll join me on February 16th. Thanks.
I don't know if you can hear me or not. Thank you so much, Debbie. That is awesome. And I'll put that down there in the chat.
Thank you.
That you will be offering on February 16th. It's called Creating Vision for Your Life for $99. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we're going to learn a little bit more about why a coach is so important. I know for me, I need the accountability. I am also, I've been very blessed that this past year, I realized I found an amazing doctor and therapist who helps me with my ADHD. And that has been transformative for me, because I'm just now getting into some really good habits of knowing how to deal with that, because I get overwhelmed. I have these great visions and I get started, and then I get so many of them going that it's hard for me to stay on track with all of them. And then it's just all over the board. So, and Kendall can be one of those who will attest to that, because then I'm like, okay, I know how to do this, but where do I find this? So having a coach to help you get some really good practices in place is awesome. And I appreciate your skills and you coming on here and sharing that. Thank you so much. I am grateful for that. And I know all these ladies will be too. Thank you, Stephanie. So my next speaker is a phenomenal lady. The first time I met her at a setting where there was a bunch of new people, I was the new one in there. I was immediately drawn to Teaqe. I mean, we were just like drawn to each other because of personalities, because of the, I honestly feel like it's the fierce courage she had in herself. I just love that spark and that drive that she has. And I've seen it in her life. And I have been on the board with her. I have of a wonderful organization called Forward. It's for Christian business women. And I've also just got to be a fun friend with her. And I love her raw honesty. And I can't wait for you to hear that tonight and hear where she has come from and her expertise in being a leader in her community, a leader for her son as a single mom. And Stephanie, you've already attested to that there's just a level of extra I think, extra courage that comes along with that. And I've always been a huge advocate for single moms across the world. So thank you to you moms who handle full-time job. You're being a mom and a dad, and you've got to make sure the car's fixed, as well as make sure your kids get to school on time, they're eating healthy, and you've got to meet deadlines at work. And so finding that piece is where Teaqe is a professional. She has been in the trenches. She knows what it's like, and she has a beautiful new perspective on mental health. So I want to introduce Teaqe Tagaloa.
Yes, thank you, Darla. Thank you. And with me being brutally honest, I'm super nervous, but welcome, you guys. 2020 for me was a year of hindsight, allowing me the ability, time, and space to evaluate where I was and where I wanted to be. These two perspectives were worlds apart, thus surfacing that a new perspective was needed, and I needed to evolve into the woman that I wanted to be. So I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the Enneagram, but the Enneagram is a personality test, and I took it with the Forward Ministry organization that Darla spoke of earlier, and I came out to be the number 8. The number 8 is called the Challenger, but it's also known as the Power of God. And so some of those who were in the room when we took this test admired this. I despised it, because when you look at some of the adjectives that describe an 8, it's more so like they can be aggressive, they could be direct, they can come off as lacking empathy. And these are all things that I had heard before. And who wants to be associated to those adjectives? I surely didn't. So I definitely took, I had some conversations with some other 8s that embraced it, and I was still like, nope, not happening for me. And a couple of months ago, I had a mental breakdown. It was around my son's 16th birthday. And around that time, I think it was because, honestly, I don't know what it was. It could have been a ton of things. My son is looking at me out the side of his eye because this is his first time hearing this story. But what I did is, when I had this meltdown, I just went into therapy. I knew that I needed to talk to someone else. And my son, although he is my world, it's not his burden to carry. And so after a few months of therapy and doing some true soul searching, I embraced being assertive, not aggressive, being bold and not direct, and also being sassy, because I am. And that's okay. All the things that I was before, all the things I was before, I wasn't able to embrace. But now I am able to embrace those things because I have shifted my perspective. And so it's important to me now than never, because what better time than to embrace who you are than now? So Darla, come back, come back. I've been by myself too long because I could talk forever. Come back.
You're doing great. Now, I was just putting in there, so the Enneagram is awesome. And I love that you're an 8. I am a, anyone who knows me and understands the Enneagram, so I'm a 7 on the Enneagram with a very strong wing, and 8. So I want to get things done, and I love organization, even though I do get overwhelmed. I thrive in an organized place. Put me in a place where everything is color coded, organized, and I'm just like happy. But I don't know how to do all that, because when you add the ADHD in, it's just difficult. But I want to get things done and make them fun. And that's why I have loved this. And I love your perspective, T, and I love how authentic you're being, and being honest and brutally honest about everything. A lot of times we don't want people to know that we have our real struggles. And the other day, in fact, the first of the year, Kendall and I were talking about it. And I was like, this has been one of those days that I think if anybody saw me right now, they'd be going, oh, girl, you do not look like a lioness on any level. But it's those days that when you're honest about it, that does make you courageous, because that's when you can come back and say, I still showed up. Mm-hmm. I was there, and I gave my best that day. My best may not have been like it normally is, but I showed up with everything that I had that day. And I think that's what, when I see you, T, that's what I see. Every time I've seen you, you've showed up, you've been authentic. It doesn't matter what mood you were in. You were honest, you were real, and you showed up. And I love that. And I feel like as a new perspective for everybody coming into 2021, I like what Stephanie said. It's take what you've learned and make this a new year, a new opportunity to learn what was working and what's not. I personally have learned that failure and success, neither one of them should define you. They're just a checkpoint, because you can be successful in some areas and say, okay, I'm great, but you need to realize what success means across the board. And you can be making great money, but you're killing people in the process around you and not helping relationships grow. So you're not really totally successful. So I feel like failure also is not a time for us to say, hey, I got to quit. No, it's just a checkpoint. What do you need to adjust? What do you need to improve? What do you need to work on? And what have you learned? So that's my challenge for everybody out there right now, to understand what that looks like. And T, I appreciate you sharing with us the fact that being a leader doesn't always mean you've got to show up at every single thing that's asked of you. And I think we as women, we want to do that. We hate to say no, because especially in the South, we're supposed to be there at everything and bring cookies while we're doing it. And that's such a burden on us. And it doesn't give you time to absorb what you're doing, where you're at. It doesn't give you time to slow down and see your worth, really. So I appreciate that so much. And I'm going to go ahead and lean into that with Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Moreman, and facing challenges and using those challenges to make your life flourish and to make a difference in others' lives, and almost challenge them to say, okay, what is your biggest challenge in your life and what are you doing about it? How are you making that challenge one of the best things going on for you? Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Moreman is one of the most accomplished young ladies that I have been around, and I love being in her presence, because she has taken life by can I say, like a bull by the horns. You have just said, okay, here I am, and I'm not letting anything slow me down. And excuse me. So I just would like for you to tell a little bit more about yourself, Dr. Moreman.
Well, let's start for the dynamite compliment about what I do. Result of being normal. That is what is important to me, to be normal. I do not want to be perceived as somebody with a disability. I want to be perceived as normal. So I look for every opportunity to do something. So whenever I come across and to speak up or write about something, I do it. But really hard, because after it comes with having bad family events, so many factors in my life that gave me the confidence in doing anything I want to do, because I know I could do anything. So, however, I didn't have communicate with anyone else, and I've been watching other people react to the way I speak. So I have to learn how to slow down and allow the other person get into the way I talk. And that is part of what I do. It's ironic, but I was said this. I am a communicator. I believe in being creative in the way we communicate with anybody, no matter the ability, background, belief, or anything. It is about paying attention to the other person. It's not about me. It's not about what you want to stand. It's about being with the other person and how in that moment to get to know the other person and learn with the other person. It's all about the approach. You don't need to worry about how to be a perfect communicator. The focus of the moment, being with that person. And give it time, then you will have that moment together. It doesn't matter who the other person is. It's about enjoying the moment because we all communicate differently. And it's all about the approach where we have to adjust either way we either act. So with all that said, looking back on my life, I've done ballet, I've done a lot of marketing projects. I teach English. So I have a lot of students who did not understand me at first. So I have to start every class that I ever taught by telling my students to relax and relax while I'm talking. So I will talk about something to warm them up to the way I talk. Because I told them to follow the PowerPoint while I'm talking. So they will not feel like they're missing out of the class. I provided them all kinds of information to do well in class. I use online systems. I use the PowerPoints. And I talk in a slow way for them to tap on the way I talk. And more often than not, the student over time got into the way I talk. So we were able to communicate together. Because we thought, know the way we can work together to get a point across. That is one example. I mean, I've done all kinds of scenarios with different types of people. Of course, you probably came across with different types of people that you don't know how to communicate with them. It's not about the disability, it's not about the experience, it's not about having a different language. It's about how you pay attention and enjoy the moment. Because we are being distracted by the technology that we forgot to give the eye contact. So we need to remember to look in the eye of the other person. It's okay to look at the other person in the eye. That's a sign of respect. That's a sign that you care. It's a sign of being in the moment, the other person. That's the best form of communication. And smile, because you want to be approachable. So, in the past year with the pandemic, and we all have to stay away from each other. And we cover our faces with a mask. I have to learn more creative ways of communicating with other people, even with the mask on. Because the way I communicate with other people is lip reading. I have to look at the other person to read on it. So whenever I go out in the public, if somebody talks to me with the mask on, I'm like, I need to meet the nap. So, never pick up a piece of paper and write it down. Or pull out the master of the meeting. Those are examples of how I have to deal new cards on communication with other people. So I had to be very clear about me. So it's amazing that we all have to work together to understand each other. And that is the new perspective that I've given you. That is very important to give eye contact, and pay attention, and being in the moment. Because we do not have the time to give a mind. We need to make the most of the time now. So why not go on now? Be in the moment by paying attention. Give eye contact and smile. Many people forgot to do that. So that is the new perspective that I've given you for you to think about. And if you have any questions, and if you would like for me to come and speak to your class or whatever you do in your organization, then maybe I could come and speak online to talk about more about the creative communicating constructing. Because I cover a wide range topic that we need to be aware of. ADA awareness, disability awareness, English, how we communicate with each other, no matter the ability, background, belief. And I can put together a multimedia report, again training, a white paper, I edited paper. I do a lot of things. So if you would like to interact with me, we can work out a communicating strategy that helps you communicate with another person, or with the company, or with the family. Then I'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I am, I'm so fast at everything. So when I'm sitting here listening to you, I actually calm down because I do pay attention more. And I want to make sure I hear everything you're saying, and it makes me want to slow down and calm down. So I am grateful for that. And I like how you are teaching that it's not a hard thing. It's just simply listening, being respectful, looking someone in the eye, and just listening to them and paying attention, being in the moment. And I can honestly say I feel like up until 2020, we were all, I know me, I'm always rushing around, and it has been up until lately, it has been hard for me to be in the moment because my mind's always racing to the next thing I need to do or where I need to be at or hitting deadlines or whatever. So I love what you're having to say about the new perspective that we can adapt of just slowing down and taking time to not overcrowd our day and to have more time to listen to one another and to communicate by just being in the moment, like what we're doing right now, just being here and listening and learning from one another. Thank you so much. Now, if they want to get in touch with you for you to get you to come and speak, I told them to reach out to us, but if you have a special link or anything, we'll be glad to put that in into the chat right here if you'd like to put that in, or we can make sure that people, I can put it on the Facebook page, and we can also put it in the an email that we'll be sending out to those who have registered. So please let us know how we can stay in touch with you past this. Okay?
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you
that.
so much. I wanted to also, as we're going into the next phase of our summit here, we're going to talk about a few things. Why is it, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. Moreman, why is it more, every year we always have these goals, these resolutions, these things we set down, and I know at businesses, they sit down in December the year before and plan out what they're going to be doing in the first quarter of the next year. And I feel like this year that while we do want to plan, I think a lot of people that I've talked to have also said, well, we've got a plan B. It's not that they haven't planned, but this past year's taught us to be a little more flexible, but to not stop being positive about moving forward. But I would like to ask you, why is it so very vital that we have a new perspective coming in to this year? I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it's very important to have the perspective to think about other people, about how we have to think about the inclusion, because that's what we've been doing in the past year. And since again, thinking and turning diversity, equity, and inclusion, again, turning that. But I am more focused on inclusion. And it's important to be aware of how speak, how the law can affect other people. It's not about your opinion and your belief. It's about expressing your thought and adding, respectable way that honor all kinds of people. Because we all are different. Some people are conservative, some people are more liberal, some people think this way, some people are that way. And to be inclusive, we need to be aware that the world that we in we call a trigger. So that's why it's important to slow down and really listen first. And do not think about these things. So listen to the other person in your heart. And when the other person looks at you with a question mark at them, then take a breath, think about this thing. Is it uplifting, helpful, kind, before you vocalize it? So that's why it's all encompassing. Slow down, because it's not just about being in the moment, it's about slowing down and speak, because you don't know what will trigger the other person. That is the point of being working in a company, working have a training. That's why we are getting training. I want people aware of that, because a lot of times after I give a presentation or a training, a lot of people will come up to me and say, "Thank you, I never realized that." And so that's what I focus on is inclusion.
I like that. And I appreciate that so much. Especially coming out of last year where it was a lot of, I hope that we've all learned, number one, to be more kind, like you said, to include more people and to not feel like we have to be around everybody that's exactly like us and has our exact point of views. I appreciate what you said on that it's very important. And I'm grateful that the good things that have come out of all the turmoil from last year of helping us all to slow down and really listen to see where someone's coming from and the where they're coming from and the layers that come along with that. Because we want to, so many times in our conversations, we want to come into it with our perspective, and we want to make sure you hear what I have to say. And I like what you said, that sometimes we need to, not just sometimes, I apologize, all the time, we need to come into every conversation wanting to know, what do you have to say? Where are you coming from? And what point of reference are you coming from? And I know this past year, I called on Teaqe quite often and said, hey, there's a lot of things I don't understand. And I would love to hear Teaqe's perspective on this too, because coming from all the turmoil that came in last year through all the racial injustice and how much we were finally aware of a lot of things that were going on that we had no idea were going on. And having good, hard conversations. And I mean, like, I was bawling in some of these conversations, and so were you, T, because there was a lot of things I wasn't even aware of. And it's not because I didn't care. It's just because I was so busy in my own life, and I hadn't slowed down enough to ask questions because I didn't know what to ask. And through one of my daughters, she's been brilliant about giving me amazing resources to read and videos to watch and things to pay attention to. My conversations with you were just so heartfelt. And I have shared our conversations together with so many other people that we had. And I would love to hear you, what do you think about, why is it so important that we take what we've learned from last year, make sure things stick and that we can continue to make changes?
I think that it's important because, like, honestly, we have more in common than we do different. You
Yes.
know, and I think taking the time to realize what those are will allow those things to stick that we learned. I appreciate the conversations that you and I had last year as well. They were definitely hard conversations, but I feel as though they were needed conversations for the both of us. For the both of us.
Absolutely, they were. And like I said, it was things that there were things that I had been blinded to in my own life, not because not because of any point of view I had. It's just because it didn't affect me. So therefore, I just kept going on with my life. I didn't know a lot of the struggles that you have faced. I mean, I understand the struggles that we all face as females, but I didn't understand a lot of the struggles you were facing. And you helped.
I know I had posted on my Instagram, I said it was a post like, when you have a black son, you pray different. And you immediately was like, text me like, what do you mean when you say that? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Cut the TV on, read the news. Like, what do you mean? And so you and I went to dinner shortly thereafter, and I explained to you, what I mean. Like, my son getting his driver's license is not really a big thing to me. Like, to him it is, but I'm like, I'm cool with taking you on your dates. You know what I mean? Like, I would be your chauffeur for the rest of your life if I need to. Because I'm a mama bear. I'm a proud mama bear at that. And so, just some of the things that some of his peers appreciate, enjoy, and look forward to, I don't necessarily, and he does too. He does as well. It's a part of growing up. But I don't necessarily share that with him. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it, people. Before I get any text messages or any phone calls, I'm working on it. I just ask y'all to pray for me.
But it's hard being a mom. And I know Stephanie can relate to this too. As a single mom, oh my gosh, you're not only a mom, you got to be the mom and the dad. And you've got to think of all the sweet things and be there and encourage her, but you also got to be the one that draws the boundaries.
Yes.
And
that part is hard for me. Yeah. That part is hard. Like, I know some people are like, what, T? Because I've been told several times by my family members that I am hard on my son. And I'm like, no, I'm not hard. This world is crazy. And me giving my son to this world and its ways is what's hard. Yeah. And so, like,
I like how very honest you are with your son. And I have a friend who has 2 sons. And to hear their stories about, she would just be driving down the road and just look over him and just hit him on the arm and say, da, 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 da. And they'll go, what, Mom, I didn't do anything, but you better not. and
I'm guilty of that. I'm totally guilty of that as well. My son would be like, Mom, like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm just playing every scenario in my head. And in case you pick the worst scenario that I thought out, this is for that. So
That's why it's important. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, like it is a balance. It is a balance, and it can be a struggle. But I really believe it depends on your perspective. Like doing anything by yourself is hard, and biblically, we're not made or created to be by ourselves anyway. But it's all about your perspective. And if you do believe in God, like you're never by yourself. And for me, like although I am a single parent, I have a community of people that I can call on. I don't call on them all the time, but I do know that they're there. And sometimes when I'm at my wit's end, I do call on them, because it truly does, whether you're a single parent or your child comes from a 2-parent household, it truly takes a community to raise a child. Your husband can't tell you how to be a mother. Your wife can't tell you how to be a father. So it truly does take a community. And that's not just in being a single parent, that's in being human. Like I know that Stephanie and Dr. Moore, like they are experts. And I'm like, I'm not an expert. But I was like, if I'm an expert at anything, it's an expert in being human and being authentic and living my truth, and in being bold and being sassy and being assertive. Like that's just, that's life is hard. Life is hard. And the thing is we don't have to do it by ourselves. Like, and I don't have a website for anybody to go on, but if anyone needs a shoulder to cry on, or someone just to walk alongside of them, like, I don't want y'all to DM me. I don't want nobody to DM me, but reach out to me, and I can be a resource, or it doesn't even have to be me, just anybody, because we don't have to do life by ourselves.
I like that. And I appreciate that, because there are a lot of people that are going to want to reach out to you, because there's a lot of single parents on here that are looking at you going, how do you do that? And I know with you, Stephanie, having a new perspective coming in to this year in the way of mental health and making your business work, no matter where you're at, having a coach to help you do that. And like T was just saying, you cannot do it alone. You need a lot of really good help, and you need an expert in your field coming to you. And I appreciate what you said earlier about wherever you're at, you're going to need some help along the way. And because none of us can get where we're going alone, we're just wired that way. And I'm grateful for that, because I love community. And T, you hit that. It does take a community to survive, really. And I think that's what's been the biggest struggle for everybody in 2020, as we were sequestered from one another. And while I'm super grateful for this, because I wouldn't be able to get to meet all of you amazing women, I am so excited about the day when we get to have a conference and we're all in the same room, because I love that. I feed off that energy. But Stephanie, why is it so important right now, more than any other year, that we do have someone coaching us along the way?
Well, I think that, as I mentioned earlier, we can't expect 2021 to be exactly like 2020, because we have learned. We had really a year of evaluation, I think, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
2020. And you said something really pertinent earlier. You were talking about the need to be flexible and having that plan B. We had so many things out of our control in 2020. Proms were canceled, graduations were canceled, vacations were canceled, weddings were postponed, people lost jobs. I mean, there were tons of things out of our control. And I think it gave us a new perspective, because no matter what happens in 2021, we have a choice. And that choice on a daily basis is our attitude. We choose how we respond. We can't choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond. And it's just like if two people can receive the same medical, diagnosis, and one of them will have a positive attitude, and their prognosis is going to be so much better than the person who has a negative mental attitude. Because it makes all the difference in the world that we stay positive no matter what we're faced with in 2021, because I don't think we know yet what it's going to be like and how long it's going to be this way.
True.
It may be months that we are still like we are now. don't know, but we do have a choice each day to be positive and think about the blessings that we have.
I like that. When I think of 2020, it breaks my heart for a lot of the struggles and a lot of the loss that people have had. But also, I'm super encouraged as I talk to people in businesses at how they adjusted, how they took their challenges, like I was talking about with Dr. Moreman earlier. They took their challenges. They took the loss. They took the fact that, hey, I'm closed down, but I've always thought about maybe doing this, and so they did. They just took risk, and they jumped in and they made adjustments. And they did it with a lot of courage. And I feel like if we could say anything coming out of 2020, the good things that came out of 2020 was teaching us that we are a lot more courageous and adaptable than we've had to be pushed into before, because we were so, I don't want to say complacent, but I feel like we were in our own little routines. We had everything at our fingertips and we didn't have to struggle. And now we're having to rethink how we do things. I'm hoping that my hope is that we can continue coming into life, not just 2021, but the rest of our life, with a better attitude of leaning into each other. And I've said this before, but I'm constantly amazed at this, that when the tornadoes hit Nashville, everybody was helping everyone. There was no, oh wait, you're Black, you're white, you are Catholic, you're Baptist. It wasn't any of that. It was like, what can I do to help you? And that is how I feel like we need to be coming on into not just 2021, but life with one another, and having a perspective of, this is what I've learned and I've seen it in action. I want to do this. I want to continue this, not only with our businesses and taking on new perspectives of how we're going to treat the people that we are hiring. Even the hiring process is different now. It is so different now than it ever used to be. And you have to be a lot more genuine and sincere. You can't put on airs because you're on Zoom. Okay. Everybody knows that most of the time when you're on Zoom or you're on live stream right here with this, chances are you're wearing your jeans and your bunny slippers, and that sort of brings us all to the same level. So coming into all of this, I like what you're having to say about the fact that we need coaching. We need people that really are experts. We need to invest in ourselves to come in and have a better perspective and enjoy the things that we've learned. And now how do we put them into place? So I've learned how to do this. How do I take that and put it into action? And I appreciate everything that you've been sharing with that. And I wanted to ask you about that. What is the one thing coming out of 2020 that you say, hey, this is a good thing. This is what I learned and I'm glad I learned it?
I think just what you said, that people were forced to slow down. I think everyone was running a rat race and they couldn't go where they were supposed to go. It forced families, one, to eat dinner around the table and have a conversation. And it forced families to have more family time. And people who said, I don't have time to exercise, right? That had made that huge. I've never seen so many people walking in my neighborhood before, in the middle of the day.
Yep.
And so I think that it forced us to slow down. And as I mentioned earlier, have a year of assessment and really look at, okay, what is truly meaningful to me? What is meaningful in my life? What did I think was important that maybe I can let go of? And
I like that.
That perspective came to a lot of people, and it was a blessing because we slowed down and we had the time to think about what was meaningful.
I like that. How about you, T? What is something that you can say, okay, coming out of 2020, it may have been so difficult. It was a really hard, rough year. What's one good thing that you can say came out of 2020 for you?
one thing that I can say is that I have learned to love me just the way that I am. The time that Stephanie talked about is definitely time that I had to myself. I was being very social, and I was volunteering a ton, and I was learning about organization and the people that I worked alongside of, and I forgot about myself. So I just think that last year really taught me a lot about myself and where I lacked, and so I'm definitely looking forward to just embracing me and showing out who I am with
I
myself.
love that. And you can't know, one thing I really feel like our life has just been so crazy fast. We haven't had time to slow down and just reassess who we are. And this year has forced us to do that, which I think is an opportunity for people who are in the field, like with what Stephanie is doing. Find a great coach that matches your personality, and find someone to really help you know how to take what you're learning and to help you draw that out and put it into action.
Yes, totally agree.
So Dr. Moreman, how would you say 2020 has changed your life for the better?
Well, to be honest, it's the same. Because I already work from home. And that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years, is work from home. And so it's like I'm already prepared. And I have to remember about the exercise, the dance, and all that. So I cannot stand that. It's really that bad. Oh God, it doesn't stand.
Good.
However, the God that came out of 2020, that I can be there for other people and meet other people, because what I have learned in the past 5 years, communication is important. And I've been the one to meet other people to stand in touch with others. And I've been watching a lot of people on Facebook, Instagram, on online, not knowing what to do. And I'm like, well, you have the time to meet other people. So I kind of helped other people be aware that you need the time to connect, to reconnect with other people. It's quality time. And it's now the time to know what to do. Appreciate the quality time.
I like that. Quality time. We all need to be so much more focused on that. And I appreciate your perspective on that. Ladies, thank you so much for all of your tips, for everything that you've been taking time to share with us tonight. Thank you for being vulnerable and for just showing up tonight. Thank you for being the leaders that you are already every day and showing us what that looks like tonight. And for those of you who are tuned in and watching, and those who will get to watch the video playback later, once you get registered, we'll be sending you an email that will have the link to this, and you can watch this again. And I want to thank you right now for taking a look at each of these ladies and what would they have to offer for you coming into this next year. And I want to encourage each one of you, take some time to just slow down, enjoy the life that you have right now, and to be courageous and show up wherever you are, because every small thing counts. Everything you do, showing up every day, even in a small way that you feel like doesn't matter, it does. It really does. And you grow as a person every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, because I know I have experienced that myself, and I know each of these ladies have. And so I just want to encourage you out there and I'd love to hear back from you of your thoughts for tonight, and maybe some perspectives that you have for 2021 that you would like to start implementing in your life. I also want to invite you to our next Lioness Summit. It will be February 24th, Wednesday night, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. So I want to thank you once again, ladies, for being here so very much, and look forward to seeing all of you again later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Darla.
All right. Bye.